The year 2000, when the Premier League grew into the mammoth that we know and love. Icons all over the world with Brazilian flair and French dominance. Football was beautiful 26 years ago, and today we are going to relive that world using a retro database from the 2001 season. Replaying the world of football season by season, Manchester United versus Arsenal, the Galacticos and Barcelona, Juventus and the Milans, and of course, we also have real-life new gens coming through when they are due to arrive, where we will follow their careers and see where they end up instead of real life. Messi, Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, and many more. Strap in because this is my favorite type of video to make on Football Manager. Now, before we rewrite history of what actually happened, it's important to find out or remember where we were. So this is, of course, the Arsenal kit. It might give you some memories that you can have a look, but the Premier League itself has the likes of Bradford City in it, Charlton, Coventry, who might be there very soon, Derby County. Leeds were a top 5 club, as you can see from here. Liverpool were a top 3 club. They had the Carlsberg kit. They have Michael Owen, for example. Manchester United were in their dominant form. They just come off the back of a treble-winning season 2 years previously, or the season previously. Man City were just a mid-table side. They ended up rebounding a couple of times, going up, going down. Middlesbrough were there. Newcastle were coming off the back of Kevin Keegan and sort of not doing very well there. Spurs were still terrible. Nah, I'm only kidding. They were top half, but you know what I mean. This was a good year for the likes of Roma. If we'll have a look at their squad, they've got some unbelievable players. Alder, they've got Cafu playing for them. They've of course got Montella, Batistuta, and Totti. So I mean, this database is going to be a lot of fun if you want to be Roma, that's all I'm saying. And of course, this is an early access database right now. We've been given it as content creators to showcase and show off how good this is by the mad scientist and Mr. Teeny, who of course helps with all the regen stuff. They work together to get all the kits, all the badges, all of the face packs as well. So big shout out to them. I'll leave a link to their Patreons because this is where you can pick it up early before it's released out to the public if you want to give it a try for yourself. The last thing we're going to check is the Spanish leagues to remind ourselves of these clubs. Barcelona, look at that kit, beautiful. And of course, Real Madrid, who are the title favourites alongside them. They have got one of my all-time favourite players in there, not Figo, Raul. Raul is here. Look, oh, I loved Raul so much just from how good he was back in around this time. But yeah, we'll have a look at a couple of the players in a sec, but this is where we are. The first season was already drama-packed as Arsenal sacked Arsene Wenger following their third-place finish in the Premier League table. And with the likes of Thierry Henry up front, supported by the Dutchman Dennis Bergkamp, with of course the midfield general Patrick Vieira behind them, this is a job any manager would want. Shockingly though, it wasn't Manchester United who claimed the Premier League title either, despite having a fantastic season themselves. They had goals flying in from everywhere, with Dwight York scoring 32, Andy Cole and Solskjaer both in the 20s as well. And it still wasn't good enough as they drew too many games throughout the campaign. It was actually Chelsea who lifted the Premier League title before Jose Mourinho ever joined, in what would be their first since 1955 at that point, as Leicester, Ipswich and Bradford were relegated. Chelsea do surprisingly have a good team, but you just don't expect them to do that well. Claudio Ranieri picks up a Premier League title years before he actually does in real life with Leicester, and he does obviously love a 4-4-2 diamond on this. I mean, nobody questions that. But the players that they've got that have managed to win the league is quite surprising. Mario Stanic got 32 goals. I mean, attribute-wise, again, this is obviously based off of the actual Championship manager that came out in this year. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank is still unbelievable. They've loaned Giovanni, which is quite hilarious actually, from Olympiacos. He's really good on this. Gustavo Poyet, Gianfranco Zola, they do of course have a very good team. They just never performed this well in real life. I mean, Dennis Wise, very good. Frank Leboeuf, lovely stuff. They've got some great players, including Marcel Desailly, who is obviously going to be one of the better defenders on this game, age 32. Another surprise came in Spain, where Valencia won the league title by 4 points above Barcelona, which also meant that Del Bosque was sacked from Real Madrid, and another massive club is looking for a new manager, with some iconic players and changing history as we know it down the line. Speaking of which, they signed Jamie Carragher 2 from Liverpool for £25 million, and I thought that was funny. What I was interested in was the Italian leagues with massive names like Zidane, Shevchenko, and of course Brazilian Ronaldo knocking around in their prime years. It was a big point of interest. The Serie A was also the highest ranked league in the world at that time, ahead of the Premier League at the time, and it was easier to see why coming off the back of the 90s, and Roma take the first title ahead of their rivals Lazio. And that might also shock you too until you remember who they have up front at the time, and they actually won the league title this season in real life too. 37 goals and 10 assists in just 34 league games for 32-year-old Gabriel Batistuta, one of the many reasons why I loved Italian football growing up. Elsewhere, Bayern Munich won the Bundesliga, no surprises there, with Rangers winning the Scottish Premiership. However, the first year had one more shocking twist, and that came in the Champions League, as Dutch side PSV shocked the world, reaching the final and played Barcelona, with a young Ruud van Nistelrooy battling against prime Rivaldo. Both players looking absolutely incredible in the database and attacking threats that you'd really want to get hold of. But it's Ruud van Nistelrooy who came out victorious as PSV stuffed Barcelona 5-1 to lift the Champions League. Quite a rather exciting season, and we still got about another 25 to go. Season 2 led to both Inter Milan and Juve sacking their manager, as AC Milan clinched the league title on the final day thanks to Lazio losing. Patrick Kluivert scored 37 league goals as Barcelona dominated Spanish football, winning the league by 9 points ahead of Celta Vigo, as Real Madrid crept into 4th place, led by new manager Fabio Capello. Another Dutch star shining though, as Patrick Kluivert was simply untouchable this season. The Champions League final though was entertaining, as Lazio, who lost the league title on the final day, managed to defeat Inter Milan 4-3, with Diego Simeone and Salas both scoring 2. Ronaldo also bagged in the final too, but it was the boys from Lazio who were the happier of the two teams. However, easily the most shocking part of season 2 came in the Premier League. Hello Leeds fans. Yes, because David O'Leary has taken Leeds United to the promised land, winning the Premier League on the final day of the season as Liverpool dropped points and falling down into 3rd place. Which also must absolutely suck for Michael Owen, who scored 44 Premier League goals in just 34 appearances, 18 more than 2nd place Alan Shearer. Both amazing players, but clearly Michael Owen's pace is going to favour him in this situation over Alan Shearer, who is still an unbelievable player attribute-wise. The following 3 seasons finally included a Liverpool Premier League win, as they picked up the next 2 league titles, with Chelsea rounding out the 5th season back at the top, in what would have been Jose Mourinho's era, but in this world it was still Claudio Ranieri. They had very much built though a Premier League winning side, very different obviously to the Carvalhos etc. that we knew and loved back in that point when I did. Anyway, I was a Man United fan. But I mean, we got Jerzy Dudek in goal, which was a good pickup. Edgar Davids? But they signed Edgar Davids. That's a good sign of things are going in the right direction for you. Riquelme, who was unbelievable back then and just never really did it on the bigger stage. He was there. Jardel as a striker, one of the most underrated strikers of all time. He starts off at Galatasaray. If you're going to play this database, Jardel is a man that you might want to pick up because of how good he is. Also maybe Saviola, because I mean, yeah, look how good he is. That's absolutely ridiculous. Even down to the bench, they still got like Van Bronckhorst on the bench, who they bought from Rangers. We've got our first new gen coming through, or regen, because it's a real player, in Glenn Johnson. And you can see that Glenn Johnson is sort of rated very highly. We've got the editor here so we can kind of see the potential ability 160. I think that's kind of fair for Glenn Johnson, but this is sort of that Chelsea team now, which looks very different to what we are used to, but it's a really good side. And that also does mean that in the 5 seasons that we have had, we haven't had a Premier League win by Manchester United. This is a little bit weird, to be honest. Sir Alex Ferguson is no longer there. We have Z-Man here, who is the manager of Napoli to begin with. So he starts off at Napoli. Yeah, I mean, kind of shocking, really. If we have a look at it, Alex Ferguson was sacked in 2026, so 2 seasons ago. So Liverpool was winning stuff. He's now the director of football, though, at Manchester United, which is kind of nice that they kept him around. But it was almost like a sacking, and we'll bring you back anyway. as a director of football. In Italy, Lazio picked up the Scudetto finally, followed by Inter Milan, who had one season on top, as Lazio claimed the title back in the 5th season. In Spain, despite Real Madrid coming back, Barcelona won all 3 seasons, while Atletico Madrid was relegated in season 5. Ever since that PSV victory in the Champions League, though, Italy have also dominated the competition, with Parma and 2 Inter Milan wins. Which does mean Ronaldo has finally won a Champions League, a shocking fact in case you didn't know. It was a trophy he never lifted as a player in real life. I potentially found out why Barcelona have been doing so well, because they signed Van Nistelrooy. So we know how good he was. £55 million. You can see the amount of goals, and he got 19 assists and 24 goals for this Barcelona side, who, remember, I mean, under Zaccheroni, I'm not sure who he was at AC Milan to begin with. Okay, so he looks like he plays a 4-4-2 as well. Classic, kind of standard. Remember, he's up front with Patrick Kluivert. So they have Patrick Kluivert and Ruud van Nistelrooy with Rivaldo on the left. It's kind of easy to see why they're dominating in Spain. They don't have to have many good defenders, although, you know, there's some good ones here, but no like world class that we know of. They just have some of the best attacking threats kind of all time. Kind of boringly, Bayern kept winning the Bundesliga, while Rangers have won 4 out of 5 Scottish premierships so far. I've made myself manager of managerless Ipswich, so it doesn't affect anything that happens in the future, just to have a look at where players currently are. Francesco Totti moved to AC Milan, which is kind of the most shocking transfer, I think, so far. £109 million. I know Veron has gone to Manchester United. I did see that one, but like Francesco Totti going for that much is kind of scary when you've got Shevchenko up there too, and it just shows the dominance that the Milan sides will go on to have. Vieri and Roque Santa Cruz is up there. Santa Cruz still at Bayern Munich, and that's the reason why they're doing so well. There's Veron at Manchester United. I know I referenced him because he moved for big money, £128 million. I remember when that happened, it going through. Raul still at Real Madrid. Ronaldo still at Inter Milan. Saviola, obviously, we've already referenced, but the likes of Buffon has come through. 27 years of age. He's still at Parma. Hasn't moved yet. £64 million you can pick up. Buffon. Nesta and Crespo are still at Lazio. So there's a lot of players. Aymar, he has moved to Deportivo La Coruña. Of course, a club who dropped down quite far after this, but did quite well in this era. Joe Cole is at Liverpool. Kind of funny how that happened in real life. But Ronaldinho's a big one. Now this, I forgot to mention at the beginning how big Ronaldinho is to pick up, because he is so cheap and he is so amazing at the start. He moved to AC Milan for free, then moved to Liverpool for £116 million in a January transfer window. Now, Liverpool have been quite good. He won the title in there the first season, but he hasn't done anything in that second season with them. Nedved, still at Lazio. Lazio's got a very good team. It's easy to see why they're doing well. A lot of these players are not at Manchester United. David Beckham's still at Manchester United. He would have moved by then. Considering how much they dominated the early 2000s in terms of the Premier League, they have not got all the players that you expect them to see that high up. Trezeguet still at Juve, Montero as well. I love just going through this quite early on and just seeing like the early transfers before the new gen start to come through of the real players. Steven Gerrard still at Liverpool. If anybody wants to see what Steven Gerrard looks like, 25 years of age, at the prime of his career, that's how good he looks like right now. Thierry Henry still at Arsenal. So there's a lot of players who haven't moved, but there are some shocking ones as well. And I think it's kind of interesting to go through and see which ones have moved where. A noticeable name is Cristiano Ronaldo, who did indeed move to Germany with Borussia Dortmund from Sporting. £25 million move that a player who could disrupt Bayern's reign in the Bundesliga if he reaches his maximum potential. But before he could, history was made as Inter Milan combined Ronaldo with Cristiano as they bought the Portuguese international and rewrote history yet again, winning the Serie A for the next 3 seasons as they started to dominate. Even without Cristiano though, Dortmund still managed to win the league eventually with some outrageous signings like Alan Smith and Daniele De Rossi of Roma. Manchester United finally won the Premier League before dropping down into 4th place as Chelsea reclaimed, leaving Manchester United no choice but to sack their manager once again. Although they do have a crazy team too, with a strike force of Robbie Keane and Francesco Totti, and a defence of Rio Ferdinand, Ashley Cole, Sol Campbell and John Terry, playing in a back 5 with Gary Neville. And Totti Messi, by the way, cost United £143 million, but he's been fantastic in fairness. There are no surprises that Barcelona have stayed dominant in Spain, with Real Madrid runners-up in the last 6 years. Their longevity at the top in the future heavily relies on how they replace attacking threats who are now all in their 30s. There is a young Lionel Messi in their B team, but he's going to have to develop quite a lot if he's going to make some cultural impact like he did in real life. The World Golden Ball, also known as the Ballon d'Or, has been given to the likes of Patrick Kluivert and Michael Owen, who's won it 2 times as well. Andrei Shevchenko's picked up 1 as well. So it's a varied amount of players that you kind of would expect. I mean, Raul's runners up there. Kluivert, even when he isn't winning it, is runners up, same as Michael Owen. Patrick Kluivert, again, runners up, with Ruud van Nistelrooy his partner up front, finishing in 3rd place. But with 8 years down, there's plenty of rewriting history to come, as we now enter what would be the late 2000s, where Brazilian Ronaldo fades out and CR7 has a new weapon up front with him. Yes, Roque Santa Cruz is now at Inter Milan after making 2 moves in the last 2 seasons, first to Liverpool, then to Inter Milan, totaling £200 million for both transfers. But it's led to them dominating the Serie A, although Liverpool did beat them in the UEFA Champions League on penalties in the Champions League final this season, following Inter Milan's win the season before over Juve, as they feature heavily in the final in the last 5 seasons. Liverpool, by the way, now have a strike force of Samuel Eto'o and Ronaldinho, which I imagine is rather exciting to see in the Premier League. Michael Owen, by the way, moved to Juventus a long time ago and has been ripping up the Serie A after his £76 million move. The Premier League, though, is being traded between Liverpool, United and Chelsea, with Chelsea winning it most recently, and they have some familiar names, with Iron Robin knocking around on the wings. It is sad times, though, as in the 11th season, a legend, Brazilian Ronaldo, is hanging up his boots finally. And what a difference his career ended up being compared to real life, with all the injuries he unfortunately suffered. So at least now he can sit back and watch Omega Luke videos, as he is an avid subscriber. So if you haven't done so, push that red button and be like R9. With one Brazilian leaving the game, though, another was about to burst onto the scene. And Inter Milan were smart and acquired the services of young Neymar in the early 2010s. He joined the side the summer that Ronaldo retired, and within 3 seasons has only played minimal minutes since his £8 million move from Santos, despite his huge potential on the game. He did, however, score in the Champions League final in season 14 against Chelsea, in a game where Chelsea won 4-3, however. A competition that the English sides are starting to really show up in recently, after winning or making the final, with the Premier League itself being traded between Chelsea, United and Liverpool once again. Another Dutch player began dominating, though, as Rafael van der Vaart was the MVP of the season for Liverpool, setting up the likes of Ronaldinho. Real Madrid finally broke the dominance of Barcelona before Barca reclaimed the title with a very peculiar side, including John Terry in defence and Luis Suarez, who signed from Manchester United for £47 million. Amazingly, though, Ruud van Nistelrooy was still knocking around in a Barcelona shirt too, and still banging in double figures for goals every single season. Wait till you see what happened to Lionel Messi. As because the most shocking thing to happen yet in this simulation, Lionel Messi combined with his close friend Sergio Aguero at Real Madrid. Now, this whole combination might be my favourite thing ever. We've got Sven-Göran Eriksson as the manager, which is already brilliant, isn't it? And we used the Lazio manager. It's the reason why Lazio did quite well. He's been around places, to be fair. He was at Bayern Munich, for a while. But he's been at Real Madrid for nearly 10 seasons, 9 seasons now. Their team is so stacked. They're spending good money each season as well. By the way, this skin is Mr. Teeny's skin. If you wanted to use it yourself, it's far better than the default skin. But you can see oh my god, they bought Lionel Messi from Derby County for £29 million. Derby County, I mean, he's great, he's very good considering where he was when we seen him earlier on. I mean, he's definitely developed. He's up to 186 current ability now, so he has done exceptionally well to get to that level, because he was struggling. But their team that they have, I mean, they've got Virgil van Dijk at centre-back. A young Virgil van Dijk, 22, and he's already one of the best defenders in the world. This is just a random new gen. I don't recognise that name. But Sergio Aguero is up front. Then they have Philip Lam, who, yeah, it's Philip Lam, and he's only 30 still with 20 natural fitness. Iker Casillas is still there. Raul is still there, but he's retiring this season at age 36, which makes me happy that he never leaves Real Madrid. I think that's always such a shame when I look back on Raul's career because I absolutely loved him. And they still got Fernando Morientes, who again is also retiring. So Real Madrid have to replace two massive strikers in their lineup this season. I'm so excited for it. I mean, that made me smile so much. Cristiano is still around at Inter Milan, and recently he's finally began winning the Ballon d'Or, which he's been trading with Michael Owen at Juventus. Crazy things are also happening in Germany as Hertha Berlin have won the Bundesliga, stopping Bayern Munich from their 6th in a row. With about 12 seasons left, I thought it would be another opportunity to have a look at where players are, looking at the best players in the world. So again, we're using the editor to define who is the best player, and it's Moritz Hartmann, who's at Bayern Munich. I noticed he just made a massive move from Inter Milan, because I think Bayern Munich spent like 413 million pound in transfers in one summer. Like, they are really spending. So Moritz Hartmann's gone for quite a lot of money. But Ronaldo is the second highest rated player in the world, obviously with Roque Santa Cruz right behind him, both at Inter Milan. Roma still have a good player in Javier Saviola, so he's moved around. Chelsea have got Robin van Dijk is at Real Madrid. Eden Hazard is at Leeds. So Leeds are still knocking around in this story and still doing well. He still looks absolutely fantastic, doesn't he, Eden Hazard? So there's still some players, obviously, that we don't know. Anthony Cella, I'm guessing it's just a new gen. But there's still some recognisable names as you go through. Aguero, that we mentioned, is at Real Madrid with Lionel Messi, both at 186. So they are neck and neck there. Cesc Fabregas, speaking of which, is also at Arsenal for 186. He's stayed at Arsenal this whole time. So I think by now he would have moved in real life, which is kind of crazy. Joe Cole is still around. Kaká. I can't believe I have not seen Kaká yet, because he is one of my best favourite players growing up. I didn't think he'd be on the game. Just didn't look for him, to be honest. He went to Parma and he's been there ever since. £40 million he moved. He looks fantastic as well. So when me and Dan eventually do a rebuild and maybe a 10 seasons with this database, Kaká might be a player I have to sign. I don't know, because he looks fantastic. Parma still have Buffon as well. And there's different names as you go through. Falcao can also play centre-back. Why can he play centre-back? That's bizarre, isn't it? But he can do that as an overlapping centre-back. I tell you what, why not? Falcao, what a striker he was in his day. Toro Hudal's there, Joe Hart's at Newcastle, Miguel Veloso's at Manchester United. Some big names as you go down through, then obviously some names that you forget about completely as you go through as well. John Terry, as we mentioned, 33, still at Barcelona. Kevin De Bruyne is at Ajax, so that's an interesting one as well. He's 22 years of age. He's wanted. Maybe we'll see Kevin De Bruyne knocking around somewhere. Steven Gerrard stayed with Liverpool for the time being. Walter Samuels there. Kim Kallstrom, Jovetic, Pablo Aimar moved to Liverpool, by the way. So, yeah, he's had an illustrious career after La Coruña. He's gone to Liverpool for £115 million. Hasn't played a lot, though, in the last couple of seasons. Fernando Torres. Now, a lot of people are probably wondering, Luke, why haven't you been showing the French league? It's been kind of boring in terms of the players going there, which is why I haven't highlighted it as much. Fernando Torres is one of the big ones that I've noticed for a long time, to be honest. But the French league has been dominated by PSG recently, which is no surprises. But there was a spell where they couldn't win it. There's 4 in there, and I was going to mention it there, and there's so many other things that we could mention. So it's the same as the Scottish League, to be honest. The Scottish League has just been Rangers and Celtic, so once it's just kind of like that, I don't really mention it as much. Theo Walcott's at AC Milan. Harry Kewell is still knocking around. Roma. Gabriel Milito. I mean, him and his brother, Diego. I love those two combinations. Carlos Tevez. Somebody who I thought might pop up in the Premier League. Carlos Tevez. He was at Bayern Munich. Moved to Bayern Munich. And because they haven't really done much, and he's not really played much, hasn't really got a mention. He was at Boca Juniors for a long time. So again, it's a player that if you use this database, you might want to sign him. Because even here, he has 176 potential ability. He's 30 years of age. Still great. It pains me to see Robin Van Persie in a Liverpool shirt, considering how much of a legend he is just for that one season at Manchester United after joining from Arsenal and winning the title. But still, It's just what we have to put up with. Gerard Piqué's at Hertha. Obviously, people might be wondering why they've won it. He could be a reason. Samuel Eto'o's still at Liverpool. Cherno Salvat. Sergio Ramos is at Roma. Gareth Barry as well. Obviously, the Premier League's highest appearance holder up until James Milner recently. Very good player. Was at Inter Milan for so long after being at Villa and Liverpool. Moved to Chelsea again recently. So he's back in the Premier League, which is nice to see. Jonathan Woodgate at Inter Milan is a weird one, I must admit. Michael Carrick's at Arsenal. Kind of hilariously. Enzo Maresca, former Chelsea manager, is at Juve still. He starts there, I think. Shevchenko still at 37 years of age, still going as well. He's retiring this season. Is at AC Milan still. What a career he has had. So, yeah, there's a lot of them that's really interesting. You could just go through this for ages. Dzeko, Marouane Fellaini at Barcelona. Like, there's some hilarious ones as well. Quaresma has been doing fantastic stuff at Inter Milan recently. That's an interesting combination. Quaresma one side, Ronaldo the other. Roque Santa Cruz up front. I love looking through these retro databases. And with 12 more seasons to come, there is still lots of action we need to cover to take us up to present day as we continue to rewrite history. Across the next 4 seasons, things flipped in Spain as Lionel Messi's Real Madrid won a three-peat of La Liga titles. Although in this universe, because of the lack of attacking midfielders, Lionel Messi has been playing as a centre midfielder more often than not. Cristiano is still at Inter Milan, but they just gave up the opportunity to win 3 league titles in a row, finishing in 4th place as David O'Leary's Juventus just claimed the title. Yes, you heard that right, as he turns a side full of players I've never heard of, and Mohamed Salah, into Scudetto winners. Although they did have 40-year-old Buffon in goal in his final season as an active player. So I wonder if they'll use their backup Alisson next season instead. Barcelona have certainly struggled recently, but they've never replaced that amazing strike force, as failed attempts with Fernando Torres and Luis Suarez have been the recent lineup. Manchester United fans have had more recent title wins despite the terrible start in this universe, but their squad is certainly lacking star power. But maybe Harry Kane can bring that back after his January transfer from Chelsea. Speaking of which, the champions brought back John Terry recently too from Barcelona as he looks to hang up the boots. It isn't just in Spain where Messi and Aguero are dominating, as they have also won the Champions League too, beating Bayern Munich in the most recent season, which they've actually won in the last 3 seasons in fact. What's different here though is that despite that, Cristiano Ronaldo continues to win the Ballon d'Or, picking up 5 in a row and 6 in total. Another retirement is Michael Owen, who has had a much longer career in real life, finishing things off at 38 at Leeds United, scoring 21 goals in his final year. Crazy things are finally happening in Scotland though, as Hibs and Motherwell have claimed more than 1 Scottish Premiership. 4 years later, and David O'Leary is still at Juve, and after 2 seasons of Roma and Inter winning the Scudetto, his Juventus side are back with 2 on the bounce. However, a huge era of football is over, as Cristiano Ronaldo, who is still amazing, is finally leaving Inter Milan after over a decade of dominance on the world stage. And in a fairy tale ending, he's looking to finish his career going back to his original club, Sporting in Portugal, 18 seasons after he left. After many runners-up, Barcelona are finally lifting the La Liga title in what would be 2022 in real life, after the 6 years watching Real Madrid. Could this be a sign of things coming to an end for Real Madrid as Sergio Aguero and Messi reach their twilight years too? One name who we haven't mentioned for a while is Neymar, who actually moved to Liverpool from Inter Milan, even picking up 2 Premier League trophies until Chelsea came back winning the most recent. Once again though, Leeds are making their headlines as Ralph Rangnick is in charge as manager, and they've got some quality players like Lautaro Martinez. Harry Kane has finally developed, but he still isn't scoring the goals we know him to do, this time in a Manchester United shirt. However, it's Sergio Aguero who has taken the Ballon d'Or home for the first time after Ronaldo decided to stop at 8. For the final time then, let's jump forward a bit and go to present day. In what would be the end of this current season we are in, Jude Bellingham has popped up at Sheffield Wednesday, who finished 6th in the Premier League. They also have Bernardo Silva too, in what was a definite change from their history. However, speaking of players who are not at Manchester City, who was wondering where Erling Haaland would be, and who would guess that it would be Inter Milan? There's no surprise that he is an absolute beast still, but maybe it is surprising to see that he declared himself as an Englishman. He played for Aston Villa, Hibs on loan, PSV, Rooney, and even Leicester City before moving to Italy. They did not finish great at Inter Milan though, down in 8th place as surprise winners Udinese, who have Sandro Tonali in midfield, have won the Scudetto for the first time in this simulation, as such a dominating spell of 5 years eventually finished with runners-up Juve, who do have Virgil van Dijk at age 34 now, and he did move from Real Madrid to Liverpool beforehand for 2 seasons, then making the jump to Italy. In Spain, Real Madrid have been dominating while Barcelona have dropped off massively. However, they are currently looking for a new manager after their previous head coach upped and left to take the job at Manchester United. A team who still has Harry Kane but still can't get the best out of him as they sit mid-table in the Premier League. Speaking of the Premier League though, Liverpool have been building a fantastic side with Dybala and Neymar as their attacking threats, as they go on to win the league by 6 points either side of Arsenal, who won 2 of their own. Liverpool also finished runners-up in the Champions League to AC Milan after winning the 24-25 season, while Leeds once again picked up a trophy. After Aguero, the Ballon d'Or was then won by new-gen players as the real-world players failed to make the big of an impact. Still though, the craziest thing in this simulation, Lionel Messi stayed at Real Madrid up until the retirement age of 38, after an amazing career there, still achieving 23 games in his final season in the league. It's at this point though, I thought before I have a look to get the final statistics to see which team was the most successful in each league and the Champions League, I'll have a look at the transfers and where players are. So I've made myself Inter Milan manager. I was also shocked to see, where is it? They have £800 million transfer budget. Like, they are stupidly rich. Italian football is still thriving. Very different to obviously what happened in real life. But, I mean, the current ability players, the highest is all players that are new gens. We do not have real life players anymore. The likes of Mbappe, I mean, Kylian Mbappe, I did notice, come through the game, just never amounted to anything. Just never amounted to it. And that does happen with these things, obviously. You can see here he stayed at Paris FC. So he stayed in France, just, again, never really went to do anything in his career. Vinicius Jr., I can't remember seeing Vinicius. Oh, he's at Bayern Munich. So he has done something. He's 25 years of age and he is at Bayern Munich, who are very successful. I think they've won the Bundesliga again this season, as you can see. But yeah, there's a lot of players who never really amounted to anything. And there's a lot of players who maybe overachieved, but that's again down to things like game time. Certain things in real life happen which change the course of what happens in real life. You can see like maybe the most famous player here, or the only one that actually is real, is Moises Caicedo, who's at Liverpool. So Frankie de Jong's there, he's at Parma underneath. We've got Ødegaard, who's at Chelsea. So we've got a couple of players in there. Rodri is at Real Madrid. He plays centre midfielder. You can also play left wing back. So there is a few. There is a few as you go through. Van Dijk is still at 179 despite being 34 years of age. And as you go down, Lautaro Martinez, who we mentioned, Jadon Sancho's at Juve. There's Vinicius Jr., Jan Oblak, Ingo, Sarr. So Neymar still at Liverpool. 34 years of age. He's had a much better career than what he has, obviously, in real life. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tally up who won which league the most. And we'll have a look at some statistics. In Germany, to the surprise of nobody, Bayern Munich won a total of 21 Bundesliga titles. The Premier League was rather interesting as Manchester United won 6, Chelsea won 7, but the most titles in that period went to Liverpool, who won 10. And in Spain, with the La Liga being as close as what it always is, Real Madrid won 11 total league titles, but Barcelona won 14 overall. The Serie A, however, as crazy as that started, had 3 wins for Roma, 6 for Juventus in a dominant spell, which I thought would be way more, but the clear winners is Inter Milan with 12. The big one though, the Champions League had 2 teams win it 3 times with Liverpool and Chelsea. However, both Inter Milan and Real Madrid have won the competition 5 times in this simulation. There we have it then for this unbelievable database created by the mad scientist, so big thanks thank you to him, of course, Mr. Teeny, for helping out with all the new gen stuff and all the graphics that come with it. Make sure you check out their Patreons if you want to donate to them and give or get early access for these databases, because they are fantastic. There's so many players that we never really seen, to be honest. Christian Vieri, for example. Zinedine Zidane never cropped up whatsoever, despite obviously being one of the best players in the world at this point. And let me know, of course, which teams you want me and Dad to start doing saves with. Maybe we do a 5-year rebuild with Manchester United and Arsenal. Maybe we do a 10-year rebuild looking at potentially Roma and Lazio. Things like that. I would love to do more with this database, because I genuinely think this is what's keeping FM26 content alive this year. It's modders, it's databases like this, it's different stuff that come away from the actual game itself, which, let's face it, it's not been amazing. It's stuff like this that's keeping this game alive, and I want to keep playing it because it makes me happy playing things like this. I get very bored of playing the normal database over and over and over again. When a new retro database comes out, I absolutely love it. So let me know what types of saves you want to see me versus Dad, or me take on myself. Maybe I do a youth to gold using one of these teams. That could be quite fun as well. Let me know down in the comment section. Make sure you are subscribed, and why not check out this video on screen, because Dad and I started unemployed and we raced to win the Champions League. That's always a fun one.